These are James's Kabobs of the day, and today it's chestnuts. So that's what went into it. And the heavy water war, James can talk about that a bit more. And Mork and Mindy, this is the 4th disc of season 1, so that's the last of it. Now I've made, oh, I can't get this open, so I can't really show you. I made it's a high protein guac, and I'll show you that later because I can't get it open. So that's a borscht that I made for James, and the Lupin waffles, of course, and his usual greens iced tea, daily greens iced tea, and those are my vegetables to go with my high protein guac.
So your guacamole is a dip, so you'll be dipping that stuff. It's very healthy, the whole combination. So yeah, according to the color test written by Max Lusha, or Lusher as people mispronounce it in the English context, the combination of purple and green is supposed to be irresponsible charm. But I'm going to say it's charming, but it's not irresponsible because it's very healthy.
There's my high protein guac. So that's what that looks like. It looks like regular guac. And what did I do to make
avocados,
it?
probably some garlic
it's
in there.
regular guac, but I put some lemon juice in it instead of lime because I had lemon. So we'll see what it tastes like. And then I put some water to thin it out a little bit and added the Lupin flour to raise the protein. So that's what I did. We'll see how this is right away, and I'll let you know.
It looks very inviting. Tastes that way?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. She would have given you 2 thumbs up, but the other thumbs was celery.
So maybe try one of those chestnut things and see how that
is. Well,
yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I'm a little apprehensive. Remember the one time we tried roasting chestnuts? And, it's a bit of a disappointment. Maybe we did something wrong, I don't know. So I better go this end.
Well, I followed instructions.
Exactly right. So we'll see how it goes.
How is that?
I'm going with the broccoli first.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
No, that's cool.
And because it's so woody, it'll take me a while to chew. I don't have that kind of dentition I used to have.
Yeah.
Although
neither do I.
When dentists look at my teeth, they'll say, wow, they're awesome.
Well, I haven't been to a dentist in, well, when was I last in university?
2010 or whatever.
Yeah, so I haven't been there in a long time. So 16 years. Because, not for a checkup, not for anything, because we're poor, and because here in Canada dental isn't covered, then I don't have dental. So actually we make less for an income than people on disability make. So between the two of us. So it's just the way the system is. It does not favor married single people or married whatever without children. Married people without children.
Well, that's kind of like something.
Yeah.
Anyway, here. Oh, sorry.
No.
I was going to try this.
So so I haven't been to a dentist long, and I have a tooth that I think should be pulled because I wasn't able to get a cavity filled, for a long time. But I've been trying to not eat sugar and stuff like that, and so it's taking a long time for the tooth to go. But we'll see. And and I don't have Blue Cross, so I can't get medication. So because that's not covered either. So anyway.
I had dental work a little more recently, but not much. Preparation for my first stem cell thing.
I gave my camera a hat. So how's the chestnuts?
It's good.
So it's good as a kebab ingredient.
I don't know. What did you prepare with? Anything
Nothing.
else? Okay.
So
it almost tastes sweet.
Okay. So I just use the ones that are in that package.
Okay.
We were given that, and honestly, when we were given it, I was thinking of that chestnut experience. And I thought no, because I think it was a Rachel Ray recipe, and her recipe is not. I don't know. But anyway, so maybe that was the problem that I used that. But this time I didn't use a recipe. I just used that package, and it worked out. James says. So
It worked out well enough. Believe me, it's not my favorite nut.
James is eating the Lupin waffle as bread, just in case his borscht. It's a sort of borscht, but I'll tell you how I made it. I had the potatoes baked ahead of time, and I told you a few days ago I was making loads and loads of ruby red kraut. Well, I've also explained how to make the kraut in the past, and how when you're making kraut, you have to put them under, like, put a tub or a tray or something to catch the fluid, because a lot of the time, while you put your kraut in the jars and you put the lid on and you weigh it down, but while it's fermenting, it's going to push that lid up and burp out some of the fluid. So you got to catch that fluid, or like if you didn't put them in trays or something, oh boy, you'd regret it, especially with the ruby red, because it's hard to keep that from getting everywhere anyway. But so how does that taste?
It's good.
Good. Because yeah, I had a lot of fluid this time when I was making the kraut, and I was thinking, well, what am I going to do with it all? And then it was, even when I packed it in the jars and had the right amount of fluid, it still burped out even more. And so this time, like usually, I don't get to it in time. I make the kraut and then I kind of forget that I've been making kraut or something, right? And so then I don't get back to check on it for a few days. But here, I was checking on it often. Every time I go downstairs, I'd be like, okay, is burping out fluid yet, you know? And so I kept, I strained off the fluid that was burped out and replaced with more like salty water, and then into the jar to make sure the stuff was covered. But anyway, so I kept cleaning up my trays and dumping the stuff out and saving it, and that's what made the soup this time. That's what made the broth. And I was really happy that I did that, because it's so full of, it's such a waste when it's burping out the fluid, and you're not getting to it right away to save it. Then, I mean, that's like, that fluid is so full of vitamins. It's full of cabbage and onions and beets and like purple cabbage in this one too. And so there's so much good stuff in there. It's such a waste to like just pour it down the drain, right? If you don't get to it in time. So I'm so glad that I got to it in time, and now I will make sure that I always watch it go back to it often, so that I can collect that fluid so that I can make soup with it, because why not? So yeah, I have 3 new recipes today, and I hope you'll enjoy them with your family too, if you want. So this is very easy, making guac. I would have made it with lime juice had I had lime, but I didn't. I had lemon, so lemon it is, and it's delicious, and it's actually a pretty color with the lupin flower too. So that's that. So anything you'd like to say?
Well, I'll be reviewing that
Heavy
water thing. You did talk about Mork already, right?
Well, I could. I don't really have anything to say about it. There is one funny thing there's funny things, but one interesting thing about this dish, I can't remember what it was called, the episode, but it was where Mindy had some things stolen from her, and then Mork did too, and they were wondering, well, who stole our things? You know, who's the klepto? And they ended up finding the klepto. But so that's the episode. But in the episode, the actress who plays Mindy, she's talking to Mork and Robin Williams, and she calls him Will. They didn't retake it.
That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Which is his short for his last name, not Robin.
Yeah, so I guess she called him Will, not Robin. So, interesting. And So you might want to watch for that
Mhm.
if you're the kind of person that thinks that's funny when they do things like that. And there's another time when they were going outside and she puts her raincoat on and there's you can see the 2 umbrella tops sticking out of the, right beside the door. So whoever had set up for the prop, set up for the scene, they did it correctly, right? But then while they're leaving outside in the pouring rain, they don't take their umbrellas and they would have gotten soaked.
Well, she had a raincoat on.
She had a raincoat,
But he
but
had his
her father-
usual.
Yeah.
That was her father's
Yeah.
raincoat? Anyway, Robin Williams had his usual, or Mork had his usual attire on. So he would have got soaked.
Well, he wasn't going out there because he wasn't actually there.
Oh, it was her father?
Yeah, it was her father that was going out because that was the episode where It's a Wonderful Life, where Mork is looking back on their life without him.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, I was just concentrating on people going outside. I was going, why is that person going out with Pam Dauber without any sort of...
Oh, I forgot to put dill in there.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm not a big
It's
fan
still
of dill.
tasty enough?
That's great, yeah.
I put garlic in there. Forgot to put dill.
That's good.
And I put the avocado in because I didn't have any sour cream to dump on.
An improvement.
Okay. Well, that's good. So, anyway, but next time it'll have dill in there. I
So
just
good.
didn't this time. So, the heavy water war. James is going to continue talking about this Norwegian, I guess, mini-series about
6 installments. It shows the Allies, particularly the Norwegians spearheading, trying to wipe out this heavy water facility. Heavy water was used as a moderator for nuclear processes. It actually showed Werner Heisenberg and maybe Weizsäcker was with it. Weizsäcker, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Probably Weizsäcker. Horrible person. He's a physicist. His brother, I believe it was his brother, was a diplomat, maybe for the Nazis. Anyway, I think the real name is von Weizsäcker, but that would indicate they were either of noble ancestry or pretending to be the same. And to me, it doesn't make any difference. Scumbags, one way or another. Like if you're got a name like that, you drop the VON if you're a nice person. Anyway, Swedish production apparently. It's in Norwegian with English subtitles. It says there's some English stuff in here. The Norwegians probably were very good at English back then. I mean, the big hero Tronstad or Stad, they have them speaking English to English people. And I was mentioning yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, that they had a lot of German dialogue, but I suspect that Norwegians are pretty good at German, as they are at English. Maybe not quite as much. Norwegian is more closely, from what I can tell, related to German. One of the reasons being, I think, because Lutheranism spread from Germany into the Scandinavian countries, and as a result, a lot of fancy German words ended up with very few changes going into the Scandinavian languages. So it's kind of sad when you get the Swedes going for heroic stories, and this is a heroic story, to the neighboring Norwegians. Not the first time we've seen this. The Swedes were playing a sleazy game of neutrality. They weren't neutral. They were supplying the Germans hand over fist with, amongst other things, some of the best iron ore in the world for steel, and the Germans would have been using it for armaments, would have been using it for ammunition, for ultimately they had something like missiles, you know, the V-2 rocket. They were using it to build airplanes, ships, tanks, army transport vehicles. On and on it goes. So absolutely shameful. You Swedes should be ashamed of your ancestors, and frankly the tradition that you've maintained. Since then, you can't be neutral when you're dealing with Nazis. And the neutrality during the Cold War, shameful too. So that's my transition here. So here, folks, you're looking at the banality of evil. I mean, this guy looks, you take the military stuff, he looks semi-civilized, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pavel and Anatoly Sudplatov. This is Pavel, Paul, means little, and that could kind of describe it. They've got a small picture of Pavel, or Anatoly, Pavel's son, on the back. So they're given credit for writing this, but it says with Gerald L. and Leona P. Schechter. So usually when you see that with author credit with, what does it really mean?
Ghostwritten?
Ghostwritten. So it's taken from interviews, where they're saying something like 20 hours. It might have been of interviews with this guy. He was getting old, I think, around the time this book was published, or a little bit before. He was, for the paperback edition. He was 87 years old, so you couldn't expect him to write it and whatnot. Anyway, it might actually have been originally in English. So they don't say translated by Gerald B. Schechter and stuff like that. No, this guy, he got one thing right, you know, like his wife was a spy too. So this guy was a spy, apparently not very well known, maybe even in Russia, but definitely in the West, because why? Most of his life he'd be in deep cover when he wasn't in jail. For all his efforts, they slammed him in jail. I believe in 1953, right after Stalin died. He was associated with Stalin's would-be successor, Beria. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce the name. And his wife was Jewish, which of course didn't help in Russia. So there she is. And she doesn't look that formidable as a spy. She looks almost innocuous, right? Anyway, apparently she was Jewish. Emma Kaganova. I probably got the accent in the wrong place, but maybe you can see a picture of her there. She predeceased her husband. They both should have died of embarrassment. So we see, I'm going to show you a little rogues gallery of people. These are the kind of folks that came to the fore under the commies. So here he is, Pavel Sudoplatov. I probably got the accent in the wrong place. He's a Cheka, a Chekist. He belongs to the Cheka, which is a terrorist organization used to make people, like a predecessor basically of the KGB. And so domestic terrorism. So this is his older brother. He died about 2 weeks after this picture was taken, Nikolai. And here he is. He's being trained to be a terrorist. Of course, they didn't see themselves as terrorists, really. Although they'll say occasionally we did terrorist sort of stuff, but they call it in many cases guerrilla warfare or whatever, or illegal. They'll say our illegals were in England and the United States. They were in when you're and he says we were at war with the United States, even though it was undeclared. They were illegal combatants. But anyway, he's 14 years old. There they are, training as a terrorist. He looks relatively civilized here, some of his adult pictures. Here's some more scumbugs. So here's the head of the predecessor of the KGB. it's hard to keep track of all the initials. They changed their spy agencies around so much. The names that they, all the name changes didn't seem to improve the ethical content of their activities. There's Beria. He tried to succeed Joseph Stalin in 1953. He lasted a few months, and then his competitors, one of them, Khrushchev, had him killed. They made sure the military coordinated the arrest of him. I think they killed him in some official basement somewhere. And then, don't quote me on that. Or do, I don't care. I am telling you, I don't know exactly. It really doesn't matter where a person gets killed. Here's his immediate predecessor, a guy called Yezhov. Someone called him, someone in the Russian, was one of the commies, I think, called him that bloodthirsty dwarf. Now, the dwarf was neither here nor there, but bloodthirsty. You can see there's something wrong with his eyes. The pupils seem like paralyzed in constriction. There's something seriously wrong with that. But for some reason or another, this guy, Sudkladov, didn't have dealings with the predecessors of Yezhov and the predecessor of Beria. His name was Yagoda, and I forgot the first name, and I don't know if he even makes it in the mention in the book at all. Yagoda, let's see if I can see him. Oh, he's mentioned. Genry, which I presume would be the Russian equivalent of Henry. Heinrich. There are two mentions of it in here. I've circled his last name. Henry Yagoda. And I love that name because it means berry. And also, like we say buns for a certain portion of the anatomy, berries would be the butt, or butts, berries. So, one of these scumbags who headed this murder and torture agency and spying agency was called, we'll call him Buns. Buns Yagoda. Henry Buns. Let me see. Oh yeah, here's Alexandra Kollontai. Apparently she was big in the first wave of the communist so-called revolution. Here's a spy, Zoya Rybkina. I think the wife. She probably strayed a little bit. He probably strayed too. Boris Rybkin. I don't know if that means fisherman. I think rib means something to do with fish. Here's a bright-looking individual. Yeah, but looks can be deceiving. Anyway, Vasily, is that his name? Vasily Zarubin or something like that. That's his wife for a while, I think. Or maybe a second one. Elizabeth Zarubina. So the Slavs tend to, when women are married to men, they'll add something to the end of the name. Very often it's an A. So Andy Warhol, his mother's name was Warhola, because that was her last name. It's a feminine version of Warhol, maybe. So, here's a little scumbag. An actor and director, Solomon Mikhaels, and here's poor Helen Hayes. She's looking so adoring and stuff like that. But this guy, he ended up paying for his picking the wrong side in the Cold War. And he was killed, I think. This is 1943. I think he was killed within about 4 years of this picture being taken. And of course, it wasn't by the Americans. Here's the guy who killed Trotsky here, right after he killed Trotsky. The Mexicans actually didn't execute him for and stuff like that. I think one of Trotsky's guards delivered a blow of some description or another. This guy's name's Mercader, and Ramon, I think is his first name. Ramon. Here he is. Like if you get a romantic image of this guy whacking Trotsky with an ice pick, This is what he looked like when he ended up in the Soviet Union. He survived a long time. Unfortunately, he didn't make it to see the end of the fall of communism. That was hilarious. Here's Leonard Cohen. You didn't even know he's a Russian. No, that's not Leonard Cohen, nor is it Leonard Nimoy. But his name is
Silly James.
Eitinman. Leonid, which might be a version of Leonard. I don't know. Anyway, here's some real scumbugs here.
Oh yeah, neither way of doing the cherries, but like the instructions with this thing, or drying them halfway first and pitting them, and then drying them the rest of the way. It's messy either way. It's so messy dehydrating cherries, just so you know.
And it heats up whatever room you've got them in.
So
you
hot.
want to make sure that
It's a
not.
sauna.
Yeah. And it's going to be the summertime, that's when the cherries.
That's when the cherries are ripe.
It's
So
like the end of July. I think they're a little early this year. Anyway, here's Enrico Fermi. According to this book, he handed out over atomic bomb secrets to the Russians. And when you at this point in time, when you hand it over to the Russians and the communists are in power, Stalin's in power, you're handing it over to one of the two biggest mass murderers up to that point of time in the history of the world. Now, I don't think he was a card-carrying member of the Communist Party, as opposed to this guy, Robert Oppenheimer. Of course, a lot of left-wingers hated him. Oh, he developed the bomb. But he was actually a card-carrying member of the Communist Party. So was his first wife, so was his second wife, apparently. And he was told to cool it.
did I get it in the cup?
He was... No, it's not in the cup. I can see it.
Okay, good.
He stopped rapping the rap about communism when he became head of this project. How do we know? Guess who gave him the orders to stop talking like a commie, the commie that he was? Pavel Sviatoslav, this guy right here. He knows where he was talking about. You're looking at a commie here. And he helped turn over atomic bomb secrets to one of the two biggest, and maybe at that point in time, the biggest mass murderer in the history of the world, right there. He's not even a foolish idiot. Enrico Fermi was. Leo Szilard, pacifist. But when you're a pacifist, you don't, you've got to have a moral compass where you realize you don't hand over atomic bomb secrets to one of the two biggest mass murderers in the world. You've got to have a moral compass and the ability to see things so that you realize that the Americans and the Brits, whatever their faults, and the Canadians were light years better than the commies. Of course, they were saying, we're working on this project. And actually, they started the project. We've got to get it before Hitler. No kidding. And then you got to get it before the commies. And you don't hand it over to the commies. Now, someone in this book, I don't know if it's the Robert Conquest who wrote introduction to this book, or these two Schechters, or it might have been a review called Leo Szilard. What was it? Ridiculous. And one of the things they mentioned is he tried to put a patent out on nuclear processes, because guess what? He's the guy who invented the chain reaction. Now, if it hadn't been for him, we might never invented it. Is that a good or a bad thing? It might have been